Good morning and welcome to the passage of the 19th Amendment. That's right. Women suffragists are finally going to convince Congress and the American public that they need the right to vote. We are going to be looking at in class the final 10 years between 1910 and 1920 when women suffragists were in the final pushes towards convincing Congress and the American public that they should have the right to vote. We have been studying and looking at women who have been working tirelessly since 1848 at the Seneca Falls Convention and the creation of the National American Women's Suffrage Association. For 64 years, women had been working towards gaining this essential right. And they were pretty successful. They were working in each individual state to get women the right to vote, but it was taking a very long time. And by the turn of the century, there are only 4 states that had granted women the right to vote. And most of those states were in the western part of the country. By 1901 and 1902, the founders of this movement had died of old age before realizing the right to vote. Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton died before they could secure the right to vote for themselves. So the hope was that the next generations of women would finally gain the amendment. At this time, at the turn of the century, a woman named Carrie Chapman Catt is the head of the National American Woman Suffrage Association. And she's a middle-aged woman in her 40s when she takes over the position. And she continues on the same trajectory of the 3-part strategy that Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton had initiated when they founded NAWSA. However, at the turn of the 19th century, things are changing both in America and the world. The United States is experiencing a surge of immigration and industrialization, which has been causing all of the progressive reforms that we've been talking about in class for the past week or so, right? Changes in city life and changes in government, trying to improve society and how people are living. And it is in this atmosphere of progressive reforms at the turn of the century that women suffragists are more emboldened to push for the amendment because they see these changes taking place in different aspects of American society. At the same time, in 1912, a new president is elected, Woodrow Wilson, and in 1914, in Europe, World War I erupts. So it's in this climate of upheaval that the 19th Amendment is eventually going to be pushed through the Congress of the United States of America. Now, these newer suffragists who are really responsible for agitating the public and getting the amendment in the public eye are younger women and more college-educated women, in particular Alice Paul, who's from Mount Laurel, New Jersey, and her associate Lucy Burns. These women tended to be more willing to use more controversial and radical techniques to put their cause in front of the people. So civil disobedience, breaking laws with the intention of getting arrested, those laws that they felt were unjust, going to jail, staging mass rallies and parades and pickets. These were things that women suffragists were not doing before. Actually, no one was doing them. These women were emboldened to stand up for a right that they believed that they should have. So in this spirit, you will see a lot of woman suffragists wearing their academic robes, wearing the colors of the suffrage movement, which were yellow, purple, gold, and white. You are going to examine some primary sources first. In your first activity this week, you're going to look at some photographic evidence of these new tactics that women suffragists were using, marches, civil disobedience, pickets, and you're going to choose one of the photographs from a wide array of photographic evidence. You're going to look at the primary sources. There is a Google Slides presentation with the directions on how to do this, in addition to all the links to find these primary source photographs. And then you're going to create a Flipgrid and explain this photo to us and what you've learned about the time period and about the women's suffrage movement from looking at this one piece of photographic evidence. All of this is in preparation for watching a film. The film is a feature film, meaning it's a regular movie, not a documentary. It's a drama. It has actors acting the parts of Alice Paul and Woodrow Wilson and Lucy Burns and Carrie Catt. And you will recognize a lot of these actors. They are famous. I know in your recommendations for spring break, a lot of you said we should watch Grey's Anatomy. Well, you will see one of the stars from Grey's Anatomy in the film called Iron Jawed Angels. The film has, it's going to dramatize this time period between 1912 and 1920, and it's going to dramatize these new, more controversial, radical tactics that women suffragists were employing, particularly Alice Paul and the creation of the National Woman's Party. As you watch, there are going to be some questions for you to answer, and you can decide if you want to watch it all in one sitting, 1 2-hour movie, or if you want to break it up throughout the week. And then at the end of the week, there will be another activity for you to do in using the film to talk about, what you thought of it. Just a couple of notes about the film. Most of the woman suffrage characters in the film are true to life suffragists. So Alice Paul was a real person. Carrie Catt was a real person. Lucy Burns, Doris Stephen, Inez Milholland. These are all real people and based off of real women. Woodrow Wilson obviously was a real person. Some of the characters, the filmmakers, in order to make a film that was dramatic, took real life characters and created what's called a composite character. Now, a composite character is a fictional character that's based on real life people. But instead of having 10 different real life people, they took aspects of some of them and created a new character. So, for example, the senator and the senator's wife, there wasn't a person named Senator Layton, but there were senators at the time, and he represents their kind of view. Same with Ben Weissman. He's a journalist with the Washington Post. He represents kind of the modern man and somebody who would be supporting the women's suffrage campaign. So in that spirit, I'm excited for you to watch Iron Jawed Angels this week and enjoy the film. And we will talk about it or write about it or Flipgrid about it somehow at the end of the week next week. So without further ado, let's get started this week in the final push towards the 19th Amendment. All right, guys.